Part 78. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 774. Since you want to point me out, I will naturally play with you. I hope you will be merciful. Jia Yan thrust out his front legs and spoke to the monster at lightning speed. But his attack was definitely not joking. With the gleam in his eyes at this moment, the power he used was extremely powerful. Humph. Little guy, the elephant trunk monster was trying to avoid Jia Yan's attack. To him, Jia Yan's strength should not be strong, but it was impossible to ignore Jia Yan's attack. You must know Jia Yan's strength. It has defeated the combined strength of more than 100 sages before. He tried to make an evasive action, but suddenly felt his body tighten. Huh? It's actually the power of environmental control. Play this trick with me, the elephant trunk monster was angry and funny. At this moment, Jia Yan's environmental control power seems to be stronger than what the outside world said, but for his semi-star level existence, it is too weak. He just flicked his body, and the environmental control power was directly destroyed by him. He was about to continue leaving, but at this moment he saw Jia Yan's forefoot stabbing at him, suddenly accelerating. Jia Yan was powerful in physical combat, and his speed was only shown at this moment, catching the opponent off guard. A ray of flame lit up in the starry sky. It turned out that the elephant trunk monster directly used the weapon in his hand to block Jia Yan's stab. However, the offensive and defensive forces of both sides directly set off a vacuum shockwave like an explosion in the vacuum of the universe, causing large areas of fire to appear around them, and both sides were directly shaken back 2 or 3 kilometers by the force of the counterattack. What a powerful blow! It turns out that your physical strength is so terrifying. The elephant trunk monster shook its body, and then looked in the direction of Jia Yan in astonishment. Haha, it's just so. I hope you won't laugh at me. Jia Yan knocked the elephant trunk monster away with one blow. Although he was also thrown backwards by the force, the sparkle in his eyes was even greater. It's not completely one-sided. This is enough to prove that your own power can cause a certain degree of damage to this monster. Come again. Jia Yan didn't retreat at all, and flew directly towards the opponent's location. A space-controlled brainwave power was directly attached in mid-air. It was a semi-star level environmental control power. Under the instant control, Jia Yan's body suddenly felt completely blocked. However, with the experience of a confrontation, this time he had already demonstrated his power to control the environment during the flight. When the opponent's brainwave power spread over, Jia Yan had already taken a direct step, and waited until the opponent completely attached his power to he stepped forward and took one step forward, entering the subspace. Just behind the half-star level powerhouse, his figure flew out directly and stabbed into the air. The elephant trunk monster was a little surprised and quickly stretched out his weapon and struck Jia Yan again. Then, before Jia Yan could attack again, he suddenly entered the shuttle space. Jia Yan had just stabbed the opponent, but before he had time to react, this half-star level elephant trunk monster had already flown out of the subspace. Just like Jia Yan sneaked up on him from the subspace, it stabbed Jia Yan from behind with a weapon. Rocks back. When the two-handed sword was almost in front of Jia Yan's body, Jia Yan's eyes flashed and he turned around, causing the opponent's weapon to deviate from its trajectory and not hit him. The two sides just went back and forth, fighting fiercely. In the starry sky not far away from the battle between these two people, a group of white-bird hall beings stared at this shocking battle in stunned silence. Did I lose my sight? How could Jia Yan be able to draw with our half-star senior? How could this happen? Isn't he a venerable? How could he be able to draw with a half-star senior? A venerable man, looking at the scene in front of him, was almost out of his mind, thinking that he had seen it wrong. This boy is too defiant. What you said is wrong. That is, he is already extremely difficult to deal with, but the Lord should not use his full strength. But just like this, it is enough to prove how powerful he is. Come on, if we go up together, even if we go up together, we won't be able to put so much effort on it, this Jia Yan is so unusual. Another venerable also said in disbelief at this time. Humph. He was able to fight like this with a half-star master of our own force, but he only stopped here. When the master catches him later, no matter whether he is a genius from a big family or not, he will not be able to continue in the future. Appeared in our northern star territory, this kind of monster should not come to a small place like ours. One person seemed to still be somewhat hostile to Jia Yan, but now he didn't say anything to kill Jia Yan. At this moment, all the monsters in Whitebird Hall seemed to have determined that the other person was a genius from a certain big family. Existence, otherwise, there is no way to explain why his talent is so incredible. You must know that the strength of an existence cannot be obtained casually. Even if the opponent has the inheritance of a strong man, without the blood inheritance of the Nishan family, it is impossible for Hua to exert the power of this inheritance. Just like Jia, the space combat skills that Yan is currently using are a huge question mark if just a strong person can learn them, not only whether they can be so incredible, but whether they can be learned. The battle in Skyrim is getting more and more intense. The more the elephant trunk monster fought, the more frightened he became. He began to slowly use his strength, but Jia Yan, who was still struggling just now, seemed to be getting stronger and stronger during this battle. No. It shouldn't be said that he is getting stronger, but that he has gradually become familiar with the feeling of fighting against an entity like the elephant trunk monster that is slightly stronger than Jia Yan himself. If the opponent is strong, then Jia Yan will attack from the side. His space power is a unique skill that exceeds the current level, and Jia Yan's physical strength is also a kind of monster with an elephant nose, which is also extremely dangerous. The more he fights, the more powerful the elephant trunk monster becomes, but Jia Yan's progress becomes faster and faster. Buzz. Between heaven and earth, a half-star level environmental control force suddenly shrouded down. But before the power of control could reach the big mosquito figure on the opposite side, the opponent suddenly stepped out with his front feet and entered a kind of subspace. The elephant trunk monster missed the attack and quickly ducked to the side. As expected, a 4-foot thrust was fired from behind, and the entire 4-foot turned blue, with a faint sharpness that even surprised this semi-star level monster. Humph. Little guy, you forced me. Since your strength has reached this level, don't blame me when you die. The elephant trunk monster was angered by this blow. He vaguely felt that Jia Yan was deceiving himself. Because Jia Yan's attitude at this moment has gradually cooled down, and he no longer looks like he was imitating a child's temper just now. He felt that the other party was just trying to stabilize him and use him to improve his strength, so he spoke like that. But during the short offensive and defensive period, Jia Yan's strength gradually improved. It shouldn't be said to be an improvement, but because he was used to fighting with a semi-star level powerhouse like him, his attitude changed a bit. That's right, Jia Yan, this is the way to fight. You are becoming more and more like the master back then, haha. Moreover, the master's first battle with a half-star level powerhouse was much worse than yours. As expected of me. A chosen being. The light and shadow monster is in Jia Yan's body, laughing happily. His original intention was for Jia Yan to deliberately follow the thoughts of the strong men in the northern star region and pretend to be a descendant of a big family in some place to gain certain combat skills. He would wait until his strength was close to or even surpassed that of a half-star level existence. He started to indulge slowly, but now he saw that Jia Yan had grown to such an extent just through one battle, and he looked like his master's demeanor back then, and he was immediately overjoyed. As long as he crosses this threshold, Jia Yan's strength will be almost unmatched in the entire northern star field, unless several half-star level beings join forces, but Jia Yan can also escape, right? With such power, and use some of the resources in the entire star field. Maybe in this northern star field, Jia Yan can be promoted to the star level. That's right, the light and shadow monster doesn't want Jia Yan to go through the steps of becoming a strong or semi-star level expert, but wants him to directly advance to the star level for the first time. In that case, Jia Yan's strength will improve rapidly, and may even reach a level that even his master has never reached. Jia Yan didn't know that this light and shadow monster thought a lot at this moment. He was just fighting with all his heart for the battle in front of him. Come on. Hearing that the elephant trunk monster was about to use its full strength, Jia Yan's gaze became more intense with the faint flames of war. Boom! In the vacuum that should have been silent, I heard the sound of an explosion. On the body of the elephant trunk monster, the entire space became fragmented, and pieces of space fragments that seemed to be cracked made his entire body somewhat blurry. You forced me. Now I don't care what kind of family power you are. I don't know which corner of the power, how could I be afraid of it? Now, you die. Feeling that the elephant trunk monster had been tricked by Jia Yan before, he raised his two-handed sword and struck it down violently. The space seemed to be broken, and Jia Yan found that his entire space power was blocked. Is this the true strength of a semi-star level powerhouse? How terrifying! The ripples in Jia Yan's heart expanded instantly, and at this moment, he felt as if the entire world was under the control of the other party. It was different from the control of ordinary venerables. This was simply like the power of the field. Haha, kid, I finally forced him to use this move. Don't be afraid. Just do as I say. It's just the domain power of a half-star level expert. It's no big deal. At this moment, the light and shadow monster's voice shouted sarcastically in Jia Yan's body. 83 Chinese website. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 775. It was this cry that woke Jia Yan out of shock. Time seemed to have no effect on this attack. By the time Jia Yan woke up from the shock, the opponent's attack had already arrived in front of him. The next moment, the two-handed sword was about to hit his body. But the light and shadow monster's drink worked. The fighting methods taught by seniors, the fighting methods taught by seniors. Jia Yan recited the sentence silently in his heart at this moment, and then his body seemed to move like a machine. At this moment, no one thought that Jia Yan could avoid this blow. Not only the elephant trunk monster didn't think so, but the beings of Whitebird Hall on the side didn't think so either. Because this is a half-star level existence, a true display of combat power. Under this blow, let alone a venerable person, even the same half-star level strong person must be careful, because the strength of this blow is faintly visible. It has reached a substellar level of power, which is almost equivalent to 1/10 of the strength of a real star-level powerhouse with a random strike. You have to know how terrifying the power of a random strike from 1/10 of the stellar-level powerhouse is. Star-level, for the existence in the entire starry sky, is simply unimaginable God-level existence. Even a strong person with a semi-star level is almost the same as an ordinary starry sky level existence when facing a star level existence. Likewise, someone can be killed directly with just one hit. And the elephant trunk monster's attack can reach that of a star-level powerhouse. 1/10 of the power of a random attack shows how terrifying it is. If there was a living planet here and it was covered by this brainwave power, most of the existences below the starry sky level on the entire planet would die. Being able to exert field power similar to that of a star, this is why half-star level existences are regarded as godlike existences in the entire northern star field. And the power of this domain was actually completely suppressed by Jia Yan at this time, which shows how huge the pressure Jia Yan was under. But for Jia Yan, there is still a trace of mobility at this time. His body moved mechanically for a moment. After that, Jia Yan's giant mosquito body slowly turned into a streak of smoke. Turned into smoke and dust in the starry sky, and also in front of the attack of this semi-star level powerhouse. Boom! Above the starry sky, in a place where there should be no sound, there was a loud noise due to the vibration of space. The elephant trunk monster hit Jia Yan in the same direction with a sudden blow, but this blow actually missed. The elephant trunk monster was so shocked that he almost lost his mind. He knew about his strength. A half-star level existence exerted the power of the domain. It was a powerful weapon for ordinary sub-level experts and even other half-star level beings. This is an extremely dangerous move, and this move consumes a lot of energy. When he uses it, he intends to kill Jia Yan. And he never expected to miss. But the scene in front of him shocked him instantly. Jia Yan actually disappeared again? How so? He felt something, but saw the shadow of a giant mosquito slowly transforming into the starry sky behind him. It's the big mosquito. Jia Yan, what kind of magic did you use? The elephant trunk monster turned around in shock, staring at Jia Yan. There seemed to be a hint of panic in his eyes. Because he never imagined that Jia Yan could escape from the power of his sub-realm, and he never imagined that a venerable person could do such a thing, not to mention that Jia Yan at this time, he seemed a little indifferent, which made him even more confused about the opponent's strength. However, although Jia Yan's expression was indifferent at the moment, his body seemed to be turbulent and almost spurting out blood. It turns out that this is the senior light and shadow monster who taught him the ultimate secret technique during the 2 months he disappeared. And this is also a powerful means of traveling through space, and it is also a powerful secret technique in space that he can use if he can advance to the stellar level in the future. Although it is powerful when used now, it does too much damage to the body. Jia Yan, you have also learned the last move of the secret technique of traveling. The only difference now is strength and proficiency. Moreover, you have also verified your actual combat ability with a half-star level existence. Let's go. Even if you use up your strength, you can't do it if you can't beat him, it's not worthwhile to fight with him now. The light and shadow monster spoke calmly inside Jia Yan's body. He was attached to Jia Yan's body, and he also understood how much strength Jia Yan had spent on the ultimate secret shuttle ability that he displayed in the face of battle. Haha. Senior, during this period of time, I have learned more than just what you taught me. Now I want to try one more blow, just one blow, and I will leave after the blow. Jia Yan shook his head. Huh? An attack you developed yourself? The light and shadow monster asked in confusion at this moment. Jia Yan looked at the elephant trunk monster not far away. At this moment, the other person was staring at Jia Yan with a look of disbelief and fear. The elephant trunk monster naturally couldn't believe it, because since the beginning of this battle, he didn't realize what kind of danger this junior of the giant mosquito family could bring to him, but now he has even used his most powerful side. But the other party was actually able to escape? No, his strength must not be able to compete with a semi-star level being. If he escapes a blow from the power of my domain, he will definitely have to pay something. And I can feel that through fighting with me, he gradually got used to fighting with the semi-star level. If I had ruthlessly killed him at the beginning, how could this scene happen? The elephant trunk monster regretted a little. If he had killed Jia Yan at the beginning, nothing would have happened now. However, Jia Yan had planned not to be killed at the beginning, and created an image of him as a junior in the family, and he was somewhat innocent, so he did not directly kill him. Humph. It's impossible for him to avoid my attacks continuously. Strength is strength. If it doesn't work once, I'll do it again. The elephant trunk monster suddenly mentioned his domain power, and the whole world buzzed again, and the space around him continued to shatter. Although the elephant trunk monster could only use this power for a short time, he thought it was enough to deal with Jia Yan. On the other side, Jia Yan also had a cold look in his eyes. One blow, Jia Yan tried his best to relax at the moment. This attack of his was one that had been conceived in his mind for a long time, and he had been perfecting it even since his rebirth. Jia Yan has been studying the function of the forefoot since he was reborn, and the part he strengthened has always been the forefoot. Not long ago, Jia Yan has been thinking hard, since the master of the senior light and shadow can create such a if he has many moves, then he has reached the level of venerable, why can't he have his own moves? What is most suitable for you is always something you create for yourself. If he could use his own moves against the enemy, Jia Yan couldn't imagine how powerful he would be. After all, the light and shadow monster also said that his master also created a space shuttle suitable for him, as well as some other moves. Later, he became so powerful that he was able to kill enemies even at the star level. Stab, what exactly is? Jia Yan has been thinking about this since he wanted to create his own moves. He didn't think about anything else at all. The first target he created was his own thrust, because he had grown up with the thrust of his front foot throughout his life of fighting. In which battle of life and death was stabbing not the main attack method. But at this moment, he finally recalled the essence of the stabbing. Is faster and sharper the essence of stabbing? He looked at the elephant trunk monster flying closer and kept thinking. Jia Yan. Die. At this moment, the elephant trunk monster had arrived in front of Jia Yan. His speed was faintly faster than before, and when he looked at Jia Yan, it seemed that he was no longer facing a child from a strong family, but a strong person of the same level. Even though he was an enemy, this young monster who claimed to be a giant mosquito clan still brought him admiration, because he knew that such a genius was completely a monster. If he didn't die, he might actually be able to reach the stars. A level of strength that he could only dare to imagine. But now, he wants to kill this genius directly. Thinking about it, a kind of crazy pleasure spurted out from the eyes of the elephant trunk monster. The entire world is controlled by the opponent's domain power. And compared to before, find the book this time the opponent's strength was even more powerful, and even completely suppressed the brainwave power on Jia Yan's body into his body, and his mosquito body exoskeleton made a shattering sound. Not even Zanlin's defense could resist this pressure. This is the power of crushing levels. Death, the elephant trunk monster stabbed out with his two-handed sword. Aiming at Jia Yan's head, he wanted to kill him with one blow. He used such huge domain power to suppress it to prevent Jia Yan from using that weird power to escape again. After all, the power of the strong man's domain is inextricable. In this domain, any power will be weakened by 90%. Just now he thought that his power was too small, so he let Jia Yan escape. Jia Yan, on the other hand, was looking at the two-handed sword thrust by the opponent, as if he was a little crazy. Boy, what's wrong with you? Run away, the light and shadow monster inside Jia Yan's body shouted loudly and reminded him again and again. However, Jia Yan seemed to be looking at the opponent's two-handed sword stabbing, and seemed to be unable to listen to the words. Prick. What is the nature of thorns? At the moment when the two-handed sword thrust was about to reach Jia Yan's head, the compound eyes of the big mosquito suddenly lit up. I got it, thorn. Call. In the field, Jia Yan's giant mosquito figure flashed suddenly at this moment. He once again opened the ultimate secret of traveling. However, when he appeared behind the huge elephant trunk monster, his body was covered with blood and scars, which showed that this time of traveling had caused unimaginable harm to him. But at this time, Jia Yan didn't care so much. The light in his compound eyes was even brighter. Prick. Thanks to the miserable water bottle book friend for another 1000 starting coins. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 776. Phone reading. Jia Yan is a strong man in the starry sky. As a strong man, he has fought so many times, so he naturally has his own way. This kind of Tao, for a strong man, is belief and the experience of studying the meaning of life. And every strong man naturally has his own perception of fighting, and in his perception, there is a faint understanding of his own path. It sounds mysterious, but in reality it is an attack. Jia Yan stabbed directly. This stab may be the first time in Jia Yan's long life that he has stabbed in a way that suits his own path. This is also his understanding of his own Tao after being reborn for so long. Well, the elephant trunk monster was a little shocked at this moment. He felt that his body had nowhere to hide from this stab. Before he could react, Jia Yan's attack was already coming. A sharp sound sounded in the vacuum. The next moment, this sharp intention actually pierced the abdomen of this semi-star level powerhouse. The blood splattered everywhere, and at the same time, it not only caused the half-star level powerhouse to be stunned and surprised, but also made the powerhouses watching the battle feel as if their eyes were about to pop out. Everyone couldn't believe that Jia Yan's blow could actually cause damage to a strong man with an elephant nose. It worked. At this moment, Jia Yan was extremely excited. This was the first time he hit the elephant trunk monster head-on. It was also the first time Jia Yan hit a semi-star level powerhouse head-on. Just when he wanted to continue his old trick, using his mouth needle to pierce the opponent's body and perform blood-sucking actions. "Boy! Leave quickly," the light and shadow monster in his body shouted suddenly. After that, Jia Yan suddenly felt his body tighten for a moment. Then an attack landed directly on Jia Yan's body, so fast that he could hardly react. A half-star level powerhouse is still a half-star level powerhouse after all. Even if he is hit by Jia Yan's sudden burst, the blow may even be a serious injury, but the opponent is still an extremely terrifying half-star level powerhouse. Puff! Jia Yan only felt a big sword slashing down inside his body, almost cutting open his entire body along his back. If he was torn apart by the opponent's extremely terrifying force, Jia Yan would definitely be cut in two. Not good. The unprecedented pain caused Jia Yan's eyes to shine with a strong desire for survival. Then, within his body, the azure meaning shot out like a sudden flash of lightning. The azure defense has never bloomed so brightly, nor has it bloomed so quickly. It blocked Jia Yan's back extremely quickly, and the opponent's two-handed sword directly cut down. However, after cutting down a small part of the giant mosquito's body, it directly encountered this extremely strong blue defense. And it's a blue defense that's stronger than ever. The slashing elephant trunk monster was stunned for a moment. He found that his slash that could have cut the giant mosquito into two pieces was actually blocked. You must know that this was an explosive blow under his severe injury. It can be said to be the strongest expression of a semi-star level powerhouse. But this blow was actually blocked by the body of a monster at the level of a venerable. What kind of body is this? It's just a venerable person, and I can't stop killing it. The elephant trunk monster was a little shocked and wanted to exert force, but at this time, Jia Yan had already reacted in severe pain. His front foot continued to use the enlightenment thrust that Diaki had understood before. An extremely violent explosion sound resounded in the vacuum, and then a big hole suddenly appeared in the body of the elephant trunk monster. After this blow, both sides were shaken away by the force of the counterattack. The sword wound on Jia Yan's back almost cut off half of his body and even damaged his internal organs. Blood splattered in the sky. And the opponent's body was stabbed with two big holes by Jia Yan. Originally, the average venerable, even the half-star level powerhouse who could not be hurt even with all his strength, turned out to be seriously injured. Both sides were a bit shaky. Senior, this battle was very enjoyable. We will meet again next time. Jia Yan looked at the other side and saw the powerful battleship of the Whitebird Warhol flying quickly towards him. His eyes flashed with excitement, and then he said coldly, and his body turned into a twisted shadow. He disappeared directly into the starry sky. He actually activated the shuttle skill directly and left. When the warships flying from behind saw Jia Yan leaving, and then saw the crumbling elephant trunk monster in the starry sky ahead, they all froze in place, almost speechless. Not long after, a huge piece of news that could be said to detonate the entire Northern Star territory spread rapidly with such speed that almost everyone who saw the news was stunned. Jia Yan, a topic that has disappeared for several months, has made an appearance again this time. And as soon as he came out of the mountain, another news came out that the entire Northern Star territory had been captured, and everyone was stunned. Unexpectedly, in a battle with a semi-star level expert from Shiratori Battle Hall, he was both injured, and there was no winner. As soon as the news came out, the creatures in the entire Northern Star territory who received the news were stunned in disbelief. What is a semi-stellar level existence? In this Northern Star field, a semi-star level existence that is basically like a god actually has a tie with Jia Yan, who not long ago only killed some venerables and powerful people in the next level. Moreover, both sides were seriously injured. From the news, it seems that if no one is on the side, Jia Yan may even kill this semi-star level powerhouse. This joke was so big that countless creatures were so frightened that they could not close their mouths and their eyes fell to the ground. This, Jia Yan, no, Master Jia Yan, it is really against the heavens, it is too against the heavens, I can't rate this strong man, just like I can't rate a great being at the level of a half-star. Same. Your Excellency, Jia Yan's strength has reached a level that we can't even speculate on, and I will not discuss it as a guest. This is what a powerful person said when the matchmaker program wanted to invite a powerful person of the venerable level to discuss the battle between Jia Yan and that half-star level being. Not only him, but other powerful people also rejected every program invitation for the same reason. It's not that these strong men really respect Jia Yan, but that Jia Yan's strength has reached a semi-star level. No matter what is said about both parties, this kind of program will inevitably offend both parties. It's okay to say that ordinary existences, if it is a respected, if someone comes to talk about the existence of a semi-star level, then they might be directly jealous by the other party. Being cared about by a being at the level of a half-star, no matter which venerable person it is, there is no sense of security. How could they dare to come forward? But this news was too exaggerated. Although some powerful people spoke out about this topic, no media got the battle footage, and no media got a reply from the White Bird War Hall. However, Shiratori Sentu did not deny it. For the media, this attitude was a positive admission of the matter. So can Jia Yan really be able to fight to a draw with a half-star level expert? The media had unlimited imagination, but a group of people began to think directly, especially the small forces, who speculated on the influence of this sudden rise of a strong man on the entire Northern Star territory. Among this huge wave, the most shocking one was none other than the Kingdom of Taia, where the giant Mosquito fleet was located. This force, which was originally led by Jia Yan, suddenly became a big hit within the past 2 days. Jia Yan, who is capable of fighting against a half-star level powerhouse, can be said to come and go without a trace in this star field, but his power is still there. As long as they can curry favor with this powerful man, it will be a huge benefit to all small and medium-sized forces. You must know that he is a powerful person with a semi-star level existence. And there is a secretly circulating argument that for the creatures in the entire Northern Star territory, Jia Yan and the giant Mosquito fleet he led have a more fearful sense. That is the existence of Jia Yan. At this moment, he is just a venerable. What's more, it is said that Jia Yan is a venerable who was promoted on the Fire Star of Taia Kingdom. So how long has it been since he was promoted to be able to compete with a half-star level existence? The strong men fought to a draw. What level will such a strong man reach if given another period of time? Although they dare not think about it, some beings feel frightened in their hearts. Is it possible for this so-called strong man of the giant Mosquito clan to become a star? If this is really the case, then things will be very serious. The appearance of a stellar star will be an exciting thing for this entire star field, or for this entire star field, including many surrounding star fields. It is unbelievable, and it affects countless aspects. The small northern star territory, a star-level existence, can overturn the northern star territory simply by saying that it is overturned. In this case, the matter of pleasing the giant Mosquito fleet has also been put on the table by countless forces. Although the Taia Kingdom, where the giant Mosquito fleet is located, has good scientific and technological strength, the country is too small and does not have such fast access to get information from within the central district. You want to congratulate my giant Mosquito fleet? What's wrong? When Kama heard the news, he had a strange feeling about other forces. The giant Mosquito fleet does not seem to have made any big moves recently, and after Taia Kingdom is pacified, she is considering disbanding the fleet and disbanding the two formations of troops, otherwise Taia Kingdom cannot afford so many soldiers. But when Kama heard the caller and said the reason for congratulations in a flattering manner, he was shocked. Boss Jia Yan actually ended a draw with a half-star level being in the central district? Her eyes widened. Reborn as an interstellar giant Mosquito author, Bulletin U. Chapter 777. Remember Black Rock Network in 1 second, providing wonderful free novels without pop-ups. That's right, don't your forces know the great achievements of Jia Yan? The leader of the force who was talking to Kama looked a little shocked at the moment. Of course, he didn't dare to say anything. After all, the giant Mosquito fleet now had Jia Yan, a being with almost the same combat power as a half-star level existence, as its backer. It was simply not something they could offend. Jia Yan has actually been able to fight to a tie with a half-star level? How long have I known him? Kama was completely in no mood to talk to the leader of the force who had to deal with him carefully at this time. My heart was filled with shock at the news. She recalled a lot at this moment. When she met Jia Yan, it seemed that the other person's strength was not much higher than hers. She was even a little afraid of the so-called top 10 strong men in the desolate galaxy. But just now, Jia Yan has been rising in strength almost all the way. During the period when her strength has not improved much, Jia Yan is flying like a rocket. For these powerful men at this moment, Jia Yan has become a semi-star level existence that is as high as a god in the entire northern star field. The semi-star level powerhouse that Kama also admired very much in the past can directly fight against them. It's a tie? Karma couldn't believe it. Could it be that this was just spreading rumors? Where did the other party get some gossip, and then spread the word? But it doesn't look like it. Princess Kama? Are you okay? The leader of the other force didn't seem to mind Kama's attitude at this moment. Instead, he asked her if she was in good health as if he was very concerned. Karma had no intention of talking to him, and ended the conversation after just a few words. Then she went to the internet and made an ultra-long-distance network connection. It's really. After reading some news about the secret passage, Kama smiled bitterly and shook his head. Jia Yan, no, Master Jia Yan, you really don't disturb my heart, right? The distance from you is getting farther and farther. I am not willing to. Karma looked in the direction of the central star field unwillingly, seeming to miss the ugly Mosquito even more. But she understood that in the eyes of the other party, she never seemed to exist, or in other words, the other party never paid attention to her, a majestic princess of a country. Forget it, my race is different from his, and even my status is getting further and further away. He has never told me his true identity. Maybe he is really a genius of some big race, so he didn't tell me from the beginning. Do you take me seriously? It's a pity that when he created a clone that looked very similar to the Bella people, I was still a little whimsical, so stupid. Kama here has some feelings of grievance towards the giant Mosquito, but in the entire star field, this reaction to the giant Mosquito Jia Yan this time is completely different. In the entire internet, the number of searches for the word giant mosquito suddenly became the number one. Next are Jia Yan, Tai Ya Kingdom, and Princess Kama. The extended search terms also include what exactly is the giant mosquito clan. Jia Yan and Kama must not share 2 or 3 secrets, are there any strong men in the giant mosquito fleet, and so on. Let's not talk about how the entire network will be arranged for the giant mosquito clan. Let's just say that this time, Jia Yan is completely back in the public eye, and this time he returns, his status is higher, and he is even more, a position that no one dares to offend. In the starry sky, a battleship flew slowly in the nearly unmanned star field. This is an area in the central area where almost no spaceships come. It is said that hundreds of years ago, there was a war here, and after that there was a kind of radiation, and then there were many fewer spacecrafts coming here. The warships flying here at this moment are not afraid of this rumor at all. Because the 2.5-star level beings who once fought here may not be as powerful as the beings in this battleship. Jia Yan relied on the battleship, watching the discussions about him on the internet with some boredom. The horrific injuries on his body have begun to heal, and the huge gap in his back that was cut by the half-star strong man seems to be slowly closing. If the elephant trunk monster, who was being treated with high-tech treatment equipment at the moment, saw this scene, he might be shocked again. He knew very well how horrific the injuries he had caused to Jia Yan. I originally thought that if the opponent didn't die, he would definitely lose half his life, but at this time, Jia Yan actually just let him repair it by himself, and his recovery speed was not slower than that of the elephant trunk monster using various high-tech equipment. This comparison can make people vomit blood. The body is good, but it is too good to bully others. Haha, the Whitebird Battle Hall is not afraid of big troubles. It actually released the results of the battle directly without releasing the video. So many people are scolding it. Jia Yan clicked on several forums in the discussion area, but did not find the video of his battle with the powerful Whitebird War Hall. He was a little disappointed because he wanted to see his record, which might also be of some benefit to his improvement. He knew that when he was fighting, the opponent had a powerful battleship not far away, and they would definitely have video records. It's a pity that it was not released. That's for sure. The other party just wants to prove that you have fought, and it is also a respect for you. And by releasing videos or something, you don't know the status of a semi-star level strongman in the northern star field. You see. Will the battle that transcends the gods be shown to a group of weaklings? The light and shadow monster was near Jia Yan's body, mocking Jia Yan's statement with some surprise. Well, it seems that the Whitebird War Hall has not taken any revenge against the giant mosquito fleet. Maybe it's the mentality of the strong that is at work, right? Jia Yan looked at the news about the giant mosquito fleet and the Pacific Kingdom. Since it was difficult for the Central District to directly contact the Pacific Kingdom, he could only observe the news about the Pacific Kingdom through the news on the internet. Haha, you are wrong. They are worried about you, because you are already as powerful as a half-star. They have to consider your reaction. If they destroy the giant mosquito fleet, you go and destroy it. Several of his branches of the Whitebird War Hall also suffered heavy losses. While the light and shadow monster was talking, he felt a little emotional. Jia Yan, I have to say that I was a little shocked by the stabbing attack you realized. I always thought that the possibility of you being able to surpass my master was not too great, but this attack reflects your understanding, also reflects your determination to be strong. Now I take back my preamble. If your strength can continue to improve, regardless of your talent or strong mentality, you will be an excellent candidate for me. No, you might actually become a being more powerful than my master in your lifetime. A being more powerful than the master of Senior Light and Shadow? Senior, I have never asked. The existences that are more powerful than your master are also the so-called galaxy level. How powerful are they? Can they possess a weak person for tens of thousands of light years? Jia Yan thought about the words for a moment and then asked. Huh? Have you ever seen a galaxy-level existence? Yes, galaxy-level existences have similar abilities, but for them, this ability is not omnipotent. I don't know the specifics. I can only wait for you. Once you reach the galaxy level, you will naturally know. The light and shadow monsters were surprised that Jia Yan seemed to know the abilities of even galaxy-level beings. At the same time, he was also thinking that Jia Yan had concealed his origins from him and also concealed a lot of things. After he knew Jia Yan's age in the past, he didn't want to know much. After all, when he saw this person, he didn't think that the monster existed in the mid-star stage, and he didn't think it had any past, but now it seemed that Jia Yan's past might have some stories. Of course, if Jia Yan didn't say anything, he wouldn't take the initiative to ask anything. It turns out that great being is a galaxy level. Jia Yan was thinking of the female great being that had appeared in the deserted galaxy. After thinking about it, he didn't have the slightest clue about this existence. For him now, this kind of existence was still an extremely distant thing, so it was normal that he couldn't figure out the reason. But what Jia Yan didn't know was that while the noise he caused continued to ferment. In the headquarters of the mercenary organization that he had visited, the strong fox was watching a certain video screen with some solemnity. This video picture was obtained by the semi-star level expert through some channels. What is playing inside at this moment is the scene when Jia Yan fights the elephant trunk monster. This Jia Yan is actually so scary. No wonder he wasn't afraid of me at all when we met some time ago. As he looked at it, the fox monster waved its claws in fear, turning the picture into dust. It seems that the adult wants to come over and meet this little guy. It's because he has the foresight. It's almost time. When the fox monster was thinking seriously, his expression suddenly changed. It turned out that the space fluctuations in a certain area suddenly reacted to the mercenary organization's headquarters planet. My lord is here. The strong fox flew up and flew quickly towards the place where space fluctuations were emanating. At the same time, in the headquarters of the mercenary organization, 5 or 6 strong men who also had faint fluctuations in the field also flew up. They looked at each other one by one, then nodded, and continued to fly towards the fluctuations. Land. This group of powerful people are actually half-star level beings. The mercenary organization is known as the number 1 in the Northern Star Territory, and it is indeed well deserved. When the strong men came to the place of fluctuations with different appearances, in a super large building on the ground, high-tech equipment was constantly performing precise work. And in the working area of this machine, a terrifying, towering figure like a mountain slowly emerged. Here we come. Some of you may have never seen a super strong person above the half-star level. Please be more respectful later. This lord is one of our forces. The strong star. The fox monster looked at the half-star level beings on the side, and gave respectful instructions to the unformed shadows in the huge building. Thanks to the book Friend Tragic Aquarius, I will reward you with 1,000 starting coins again. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito author, Bulletin U. Chapter 778. The entire Northern Star Territory only belongs to a small place in this vast and prosperous starry sky. On the edge of the Northern Star Territory, there are several major empires, and there are even places of superpower that are even more powerful than the empires. If we insist on talking about the geography of the Northern Star Territory, it is only on the edge of a few superpowers. And this is just a small place. Of course, most people in the Northern Star Territory don't know this. They just compare themselves with small places such as desolate galaxies. Compared with those places, the technology and strength of the Northern Star Territory can be regarded as an advanced place. But in fact, this is just self-deception. Jia Yan, your next mission in the Northern Star region is to reach the peak of promotion, and then return to the master battleship. I will find a way to take you to a place suitable for your breakthrough. Of course, if you can in the star field, directly advancing to the stellar level is the best thing, but I think it is not that easy. The light and shadow monster appeared in Jia Yan's body and told him his plans for Jia Yan's next steps. Okay, let's do it. Jia Yan also feels that the future is bright for the next process of becoming stronger. After all, he has already defeated a half-star powerhouse. He will only get stronger and stronger in the future. In this northern star field, he will also become more and more powerful. Close to the invincible state, when that time comes, his strength will no longer have to worry about any semi-star level experts. And all the resources in the northern star field will be taken by him unscrupulously. Okay, the next step is to recover from your injuries, and then continue to learn my combat skills. Then it's time for you to shine. The light and shadow monster is also full of expectations for Jia Yan. Star level. Jia Yan also looked at a lone star in the starry sky where the battleship was located, thinking about the grand scene when he reached the star level. The lifespan of a star level expert is said to be about 10,000 years. The more powerful one is, the longer his lifespan will be. Of course, this is also limited by the race of the powerful man and his own lifestyle, but 10,000 years is the basic guarantee. With a lifespan of 10,000 years, Jia Yan didn't even know what he would do with such a long life. Moreover, the power of a star-level expert was beyond his imagination. If he reaches the star level, Jia Yan can't even imagine how far his strength will reach. After all, the light and shadow monster said that as long as his strength reaches the star level, plus the light and shadow monster's teachings, he will also be a star. Being able to transcend levels and kill enemies, for Jia Yan, he couldn't even imagine what kind of strength he had at that time. And the stellar level, isn't it the starry sky beast that Orion Arm mentioned? At that time, I will be the real starry sky beast, an invincible existence across the star field. Of course, now I am in the star field, it's almost invincible. Jia Yan's eyes were filled with longing as he thought about his future strength. And at this moment, inside the Jia Yana battleship, the entire battleship suddenly sounded the alarm, beep 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 beep. Countless sharp screams resounded throughout the battleship. What's going on? Isn't this an alarm for space fluctuations? I didn't feel any space distortion here just now. Jia Yan's expression suddenly shook, and then he looked at the alarm information on the battleship, seemingly in disbelief. Because the alarm message in this battleship actually prompted a space shock, but before he chose this place, he had investigated clearly. Although this place is inaccessible, there has never been any space shock, and there has not been any natural disaster here. But what's going on with the oscillation in this space now? Could it be that he was so unlucky that he encountered a shock of cosmic energy just after arriving here? Although the universe seems plain, Jia Yan and any space voyage adventurer understand that in the seemingly calm areas of the universe, there are often some chaotic forces interacting with each other, and some are even more terrifying. To the extent that it can distort space. Battleship, give me an emergency jump and get out of here. Jia Yan drank loudly. The advanced thing about this battleship is that it can understand voice commands. But after the battleship's light flickered for a moment, it suddenly dimmed. Unable to operate, the space is locked. How could? Jia Yan felt that he was unsteady on his feet and kept looking at the data on the battleship, but finally found a data report that surprised him. It turned out that the entire battleship had been cut off, and it was not the natural distortion of space that he had imagined. How is it possible? What is this? Jia Yan released his brainwave power and explored the surroundings. But he felt that there was an extremely powerful pressure outside the battleship, which caused his brainwave power to be restricted within half a kilometer of release, and then bounced back. What on earth is it? Jia Yan was extremely shocked and wanted to continue checking. Jia Yan, calm down. The light and shadow monster spoke inside Jia Yan's body. There was a wry smile in his words. The two of them were still discussing a bright future before, but they didn't expect that the slap in the face would come so quickly. Jia Yan, let me tell you, we might be in big trouble. We should be controlled by a star level. The words of the light and shadow monster revealed despair. Star level, Jia Yan was stunned. He continued to use his power to transmit to the surroundings, and also operated the battleship to fly forward, but no matter what he did, the battleship did not respond at all, and his brainwave power was unable to transmit within a kilometer radius. Star level? How could it be? No matter how he operated, Jia Yan could not transmit his power, but he could feel that his battleship was controlled by a force and flew somewhere in the distance. Jia Yan couldn't even see the other party's figure, nor could he feel the breath of any creature, but he was just taken away. Senior Light and Shadow, is this really a star level? Yes, I understand your thoughts, but I am very sure that this is the stellar class. I am very clear about the strength of the stellar class. Don't be surprised. They can do such a thing with ease. Unexpectedly out of a stellar level, alas, the light and shadow monster sighed in despair. Jia Yan feels the same way. He even tried to fly out of the battleship, but he couldn't open the battleship hatch. If this was done by a powerful person, Jia Yan knew that this existence, which did not even show his face, was almost unimaginably powerful to him. Even if Jia Yan can fight or even draw with a half-star level being, he is actually so powerless in front of a real star level. Who are you? Come out, Jia Yan released his brainwave power and shouted unwillingly. But no matter how hard he tried, he got no response. Although he was controlled, the other party neither appeared nor had any intention of harming Jia Yan. Senior, please come out and talk. Jia Yan's expression changed and he continued. This time the respectful attitude was responded to. A voice that seemed far away in the horizon, yet very close to his eyes, faintly reached Jia Yan's ears. Oh? Why don't you scold me? And the super brain hiding in your body is the relic of the strong man who taught you. Haha, you kid is really interesting. You actually learned this kind of thing through a brain. Level of strength. Not bad. This voice did not deliberately release any strong pressure on Jia Yan, but at this moment, Jia Yan suddenly felt an incredible force suppressing his body. It seemed that the opponent did not need to exert his strength. It made Jia Yan's body shatter into pieces. His body swayed, almost unsteady on his feet. Senior, are you a star-level expert? I wonder where you plan to take me? I don't remember ever offending you. Jia Yan asked respectfully, at least on the surface, for this stellar level. Just a sound shocked him so much that his blue defense almost came out. This means that there is really an insurmountable gap between him and the stellar level. The other party's voice still didn't know where it came from, but it became slightly louder. That's right, I am at the stellar level. My little friend, you said you didn't offend me, right? But that's not what the strong man from the Whitebird Battle Hall, said. There was a hint of anger in the other party's words, and also just such a little anger made Jia Yan's body involuntarily feel cold and gloomy. Whitebird Battle Hall, Jia Yan was stunned. Although he has always known that behind several large-scale forces, there are star-level existences, but he also knows that it is not so simple for star-level people to come to the Northern Star Territory, because there is nothing worthy of stars in the Northern Star Territory. The reason for the existence of the level, and even the strong men of the Whitebird War Hall who want to talk to the stellar-level bosses need a series of applications and approvals. The Northern Star region has actually not witnessed a star-level powerhouse for many years, which is why Jia Yan dares to attack large forces. But how could he have imagined that by randomly picking a semi-star level powerhouse from a force to fight, he would actually provoke a star-level powerhouse? Senior, I may have had some friction with Shiratori Battle Hall some time ago, but that was just a trivial matter. Fighting with that semi-star level senior was just a competition. What do you mean now, Jia Yan? He asked with a twinkling light in his compound eyes. The light and shadow monster is already in his body and is silent, because originally other beings could not detect his conversation with Jia Yan, but at this star level, they can definitely detect it, so at this moment he is silent, making suggestions or something, and saying it's like talking in vain. Please subscribe for genuine subscription. This book comes from. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 779. The light and shadow monster was in Jia Yan's body, thinking quickly about countermeasures, because although he understood that facing a star-level powerhouse was a desperate situation, compared to Jia Yan, he certainly knew the star level better and could come up with a solution. If there is any way, he is the only one. But what he didn't expect was that Jia Yan actually said a strong word to this stellar powerhouse. The light and shadow monster was startled, but think about it, what Jia Yan seemed to show in the northern star field was that of a genius of the great race. At this moment, he also agreed. If he could make the other party do something because of this, if you have any concerns, it is not a good thing to not pay. I hope this guy thinks that Jia Yan is really a genius of a big race. Although I understand that Jia Yan was not born in a big race, his talent and fighting will are definitely at the level of a genius of a big race, or even a genius of a big race. Nothing compares to it. The light and shadow monster thought hopefully. But that star-level existence is obviously not so easily frightened. Haha, you little guy has quite a temper. If you were a venerable person, I would have crushed you to death. But you seem to have great talent. I will take you back to the Whitebird Battle Hall first, and then I will, after you have finished your business, come and discuss your sins. The star-level existence stopped talking after saying this. But also because of these words, Jia Yan understood his situation and the good news that the other party would not directly hurt him. The other party actually let Jia Yan go because of his talent? Thinking about it, Jia Yan was relieved. His talent would surprise even light and shadow monsters. An ordinary star-level person might also be shocked, so if he doesn't kill him now, he might want to take a look. Whether you can stay and use it for your own power is also a normal thing. After all, it would be a pity to kill such a powerful genius. Moreover, the other party might really be deceived by his words, thinking that the giant mosquito clan invented by Jia Yan might be some kind of big family. After all, the universe is so big, which star level dares to say that it knows all the powerful families? The light and shadow monster told him that his master, because he did not recognize the existence of a family, ended up provoking a super powerful family on the other side of the galaxy, and was issued a kill order. The big family itself did not use it at all. As a result, the owner of the light and shadow monster was killed by other strong men. A family of this level, even a star level one, would be worried and afraid. I need to calm down. Right now, I must not be strong enough to fight the opponent. And if I want to escape, I have no means. If even the space is blocked, the opponent's strength is completely beyond my imagination. Jia Yan was confused and thinking of countless plans, but at this moment he found that his strength could not help him much. After being reborn for so long, this was the first time he felt weak. In the past, even he felt that he was not strong enough, but he could explode every time or use other methods, and he could escape no matter what happened, but this time, he was really helpless. To put it bluntly, I am still not strong enough. If my strength is already at the stellar level, then will I be afraid of him? The anger in Jia Yanfu's eyes was burning. This was not anger against this star-level monster, but anger against himself, because he felt that his strength was too weak. It is not Jia Yan's style to sit back and wait for death. At this moment, he is constantly releasing the power of his brain waves. but the brainwave power released seemed to be in the air, unable to cause any strange appearance of the stellar monster. Jia Yan, stop it, you are not strong enough to cause any harm to him yet. The light and shadow monster couldn't help but said to Jia Yan. Yes, Zhinao is right. Although your strength is very strong, you are probably the most powerful among the venerables I have ever seen. But if you want to hurt a star-level person, your strength is still not enough. The voice that seemed to come from far away appeared in Jia Yan's ears again. Jia Yan calmed down. He found that when his strength faced something he couldn't face, his mentality would become chaotic. This was the first time for Jia Yan that he had no control over the situation. He looked around helplessly, but there was no way he could do it. This stellar-level monster seemed to be flying with him and the battleship at a speed that even Jia Yan could not understand. Although Jia Yan could not measure the opponent's speed, he could vaguely feel that the opponent's speed exceeded the speed of light. This is the flight of a living creature in its physical body. The opponent definitely did not use any technological items, otherwise, Jia Yan would definitely be able to feel it. But the other party is using brainwave power? Or the physical body? At this moment, Jia Yan couldn't understand how a creature could fly so fast through the strength of its physical body. Although the light and shadow monster also told him that after the star level, there seemed to be some strong people who could travel faster than the speed of light. But it was also a shock to Jia Yan that the star-level powerhouse he saw for the first time had this kind of ability. Jia Yan, the star level is still a bit far away for you now, don't think too much. The light and shadow monster said this in Jia Yan's body. The stellar powerhouse didn't seem to say anything because of these words, and just continued to fly. Not knowing how long it took, Jia Yan felt the battleship's entire body shake suddenly. Okay, we've arrived at the Whitebird War Hall, come down. The strong man's voice said calmly to Jia Yan. Jia Yan felt a force restraining the entire battleship, receding like a tide. Then his brainwave power can be used. Go down, kid, I'm sure he won't do anything bad to you, the light and shadow monster said solemnly in Jia Yan's body. Faced with this almost impossible reversal of the strength gap, not even the light and shadow monsters could help Jia Yan. Whitebird Hall, if my strength increases. Jia Yan's eyes flashed with a dark light, and then he calmly opened the hatch of his battleship and walked out. As soon as he got off the battleship, Jia Yan saw a figure not much different from him, standing proudly in front of the battleship. This is a colorful monster that looks like a peacock. He has beautiful feathers and big bright eyes. Jia Yan somewhat remembered a female lord he had seen in that deserted galaxy. Of course, the strength of the two sides is completely different. I've seen you, Senior. Jia Yan got down to the ground and, regardless of other things, said a little respectfully to this peacock-like being. He can't see the opponent's strength now, but this is the scary part. Even if the opponent is standing there, Jia Yan can't even detect the opponent's existence. This strength difference is so big that even Jia Yan is shocked. The gap between stellar existence and non-stellar existence is so terrible. Yeah. Little guy, you are very good. Hearing Jia Yan say some good words, although he understood that he said it reluctantly, the peacock star-level powerhouse still nodded. Jia Yan was surprised that the voice made by the other party was actually a female voice. It seemed that the peacock strongman looked like a woman. You don't have to worry. I brought you back with no intention of doing anything to you. Moreover, the Whitebird War Hall, are not a force that bullies others. It's just that you have hurt the prestige of my Whitebird War Hall in the Northern Star Territory. I will arrest you. It's natural to come here and punish him, said the strong peacock. Facing such a stellar figure, Jia Yan had nothing to refute and just nodded lightly. Looking at Seikon again, this place looks like a planet, with air and sunshine, and the surrounding environment is not bad. Just thinking that this is the headquarters of Shiratori War Hall makes Jia Yan feel a little worse. Welcome to return, sir. Several powerful men that Jia Yan had seen in the Whitebird War Hall flew over one by one at this moment, and respectfully said to the peacock monster in unison. Jia Yan looked at these monsters, his expression immediately showing a hint of disdain. Naturally, he regarded this group of monsters as being unable to defeat him, and invited more powerful star-level beings to come forward. At this time, even if he was a prisoner of his own rank, he would not be able to give these beings a good look. Humph, Jia Yan. You have finally been arrested. I, the Whitebird War Hall, have not provoked you, so why did you target my Whitebird War Hall and even seriously injure the seniors who are at the semi-star level? When a strong man from Sichuan saw Jia Yan's demeanor, he immediately yelled and cursed fiercely. Why should I deal with you, Whitebird Battle Hall? Then you have to ask the venerable pig monster in your force. Oh, he was killed by me when he sneak attacked me in Taya Kingdom. There is no place for you to ask. Go and ask, or should I give you a ride and go underground to ask him? Jia Yan said coldly. He could be more respectful towards the stellar level, but he had no good impression at all of this weak being who couldn't defeat him and yet still tried to challenge others. Jia Yan. You. That time, Guanqiang didn't expect that Jia Yan would dare to speak harshly in front of a star-level existence. At this moment, he was a little angry and wanted to step forward, but he was worried about Jia Yan's strength. Unable to move. Okay, take him to the cell where the strong men are kept. I have some things to do. I'll talk to him when I'm free. Jia Yan, my name is Kong Ping. I hope you don't cause trouble in the Whitebird Battle Hall. Otherwise, you will know the real power of the star level. Do you understand? The peacock monster who called himself Kong Ping glanced at Jia Yan. Jia Yan instantly felt an irresistible force suppressing his body, and he could only nod. Kong Ping quickly left, as if she had caught Jia Yan, but she did it casually. Only then did he realize that the other party did not come to the 10 Northern Star territory specifically for him at all. Maybe there was something else. It's better if you don't pay attention to me, so that I can think of a way to escape. Jia Yan looked at Kong Ping who was leaving, and the sparkle in his eyes flashed away. Thanks to Brother Tragic Aquarius for another 1000 starting coins, and thanks to book friends Wei Jin and Cold Eyes and Not Cold Blooded for their rewards. I also ask everyone to continue to subscribe to the official version, thank you. Reborn as an Interstellar Giant Mosquito author, Bulletin U. Chapter 780. Perhaps it was due to the influence of the stellar powerhouse, or perhaps Jia Yan could not think of any good solution. For the next 10 days, he would be in a cage with no chance of escape. Among the characters in the Whitebird War Hall, some would come to visit Jia Yan. Although he claimed to be imprisoned, he was actually not restricted from much freedom, because there was no powerful cage that could prevent a star and a half level of existence escape. Among this group of characters, Jia Yan saw 2.5 star level beings, one of whom was the elephant trunk monster he had fought. Jia Yan, you are so durable. My injury is not healed yet, but you are almost healed. The elephant trunk monster came to the place where Jia Yan was imprisoned and looked at Jia Yan's body with some surprise. When meeting an old friend, Jia Yan still showed a smile even though the previous relationship was not very good. You were still far behind those few times. Why don't you fight again next time I go out? I will make your loss even more ugly. As he said this, Jia Yan's eyes flashed with light. If given the chance, he certainly wouldn't mind causing a scene in the Whitebird Battle Hall. The elephant trunk monster didn't notice Jia Yan's thoughts. He just shook his head lightly. Forget it, you don't have this chance. We may not have the chance to see each other again in the future. As he spoke, he actually looked envious. Huh? I don't have a chance. A look of uncertainty flashed in Jia Yan's eyes. Forget it, you will know after a while, and even if you don't want to know, it's okay. Haha, I'm leaving. I will remember this battle. I hope you don't die in the future, haha. The elephant trunk monster just said a few words and then left. Another half-star level expert from Whitebird Battle Hall was actually the one who had shown his face when Jia Yan was educating the high-level existence of Whitebird Battle Hall genius Starry Sky. However, at this time he faced Jia Yan's the attitude is different. Your Excellency Jia Yan, I apologize for my previous attitude towards you. I hope my last action did not affect your feelings towards me, the Whitebird War Hall. The pure white monster finished speaking calmly and left directly. Jia Yan didn't care whether these semi-star level beings would come over to apologize, but based on their performance, it seemed a little strange that Kong Ping wanted to arrange for that star level being. According to these powerful men, this existence seemed to want to take Jia Yan somewhere. It might be extremely far away from the northern star territory, but Jia Yan couldn't imagine where the other party wanted to take him. Jia Yan, I feel that Kong Ping has left. Just when Jia Yan was thinking about the other party's intentions, one day the light and shadow monster said to Jia Yan weakly. Kong Ping left? How did you know? Jia Yan was startled, and then looked at the light and shadow monster floating on the surface of his body with some strangeness. I used a method that you won't understand now. Anyway, I'm pretty sure that she left. But he left a method to restrict you. If nothing else, you can't escape this method, so this time, I have to use my last resort. The light and shadow monster said to Jia Yan weakly. The last resort? Senior, what means are you talking about? Jia Yan asked with some surprise. The light and shadow monster let out a long sigh, and at the same time, Jia Yan felt a slight sense of power shining around the cage. The surrounding space seemed to be isolated, making Jia Yan feel a sense of energy similar to Kong Ping's. This method is my absolute core power, an energy similar to half-star level. But if I use it, my combat power is estimated to be between half-star and star level. After Kong Ping leaves, here no creature can stop me. Fortunately, Kong Ping didn't directly destroy me in order to win over you. Otherwise, no matter how powerful I am, I still can't deal with her, the light and shadow monster said still weakly. But looking at his appearance, Jia Yan reacted and asked, Senior, if you use this power, will you cause any harm to yourself? The light and shadow monster pondered for a while, then raised his head and looked at Jia Yan. Little guy, after using up this last power, I will really die. But don't worry, after more than 3,000 years of waiting, the last part of my life I am very satisfied to be able to see you, my child, and teach you most of my master's combat skills. Senior. At this moment, Jia Yan's heart trembled, and his eyes were full of retention. But before he could say anything, he felt the power around him rising to a terrifying level. No need to say anything, my power has been released, and it is irreversible. My child, Kong Ping is right, this old guy is just a brain, and it is not worth your sadness for me. In the end, this is the only thing that can help you. Don't let me, old man, make my last determination in vain. When I start attacking the people in the Whitebird War Hall, you can take the opportunity to jump and escape. I will destroy the traces of your space travel. Boom, 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 boom was heard all around, and a terrifying power slowly spread through the body of the light and shadow monster. This power soon surpassed Jia Yan's current power, surpassed the level of a strong person in the next level, and later even faintly surpassed a half-star level existence. Jia Yan looked at the light and shadow monster. At this moment, the light and shadow monster expanded to a size of 300 meters, which was even bigger than Jia Yan. Under his protection, Jia Yan felt somewhat safe. That's right, although the senior light and shadow monster has only met Jia Yan for a few short years, he has protected Jia Yan many times. Even if he can kill enemies across levels now, he can only do so with the help of the other party. But after today, Jia Yan will never see the senior light and shadow monster again. Senior. Jia Yan shook his head in pain, his heart seemed to be grabbed by a hand. To him, the light and shadow monster seemed to have become a respectable elder in a short period of time. He had never met such a respected elder since his rebirth, but now this elder was leaving him. When the light and shadow monster saw him like this, his expression froze with emotion. "My child, don't be sad. When I first met you, you seemed to not believe in anything, as if you had a personality defect. Now I see that you have become much better. Be obedient and don't close yourself off in the future." "I don't know if I can do it." Jia Yan shook his head. Alas, the light and shadow monster let out a long sigh and continued, "My strength is about to reach its peak. Just wait for 30 seconds and you can escape. Don't look back. After you escape, you will go to the Chaos Star territory. Go to the battleship. There is my body there. Even though I am dead, the machine will still give birth to a newborn individual similar to me. Let it help you in the future." Okay, Jia Yan nodded. Although the light and shadow monster said he had a spare body, it was no longer him. "My child, if you believe me, after escaping, take my master's battleship to a place arranged by him. Presumably, the battleship can barely start under the repair of the automatic robot. After you leave here, the Northern Star territory is not your place to stay. Yes, going to the place arranged by the battleship will only be more beneficial to your development." The light and shadow monster treated his own nephews and kept explaining. "Okay, I will definitely go." Jia Yan nodded. Boom. At this moment, the momentum in the light and shadow monster's body reached its peak. Jia Yan never thought that the light and shadow monster that had been accompanying him had such terrifying power. And just as he exploded with all his strength, the faint shielding energy surrounding the cage also shattered and opened like broken glass. The power that erupted in the cage was suddenly felt by the strong men around him at this moment. What? That caged place actually has such terrifying power. Could it be that Jia Yan? Impossible, Jia Yan doesn't have such terrifying power at all. Damn it, he is a bit like a star-level powerhouse. Lord Kongping just left, how can we deal with him? A person named Shiratorai Zhantang was directly shocked by the power that exploded at this moment. But the light and shadow monster here didn't think that things would be that simple at all, and shouted at Jia Yan on the side. "Let's go." There was a hint of concern in his eyes as he glanced at Jia Yan, but it was more of awareness. This doesn't look like Zhinao, he is simply the most kind elder in the world. Yes. Take care, senior. Jia Yan shouted loudly, and at this moment, his figure suddenly stepped into the air in front of him. The space began to distort, but at the same time, a terrifying force surged up in the distorted air like an explosion, trying to straighten out the distortion. Humph. I want to control Jia Yan even with the remaining power. At this moment, the light and shadow monster shouted coldly, and then a huge force also surged out of his body, smashing the solidified power into pieces. Buzz. At this moment, Jia Yan's body finally entered the subspace. At the last moment, he watched the huge figure of the light and shadow monster leave. A dim shadow like Kongping flew near the cage, but her power was only a few tenths of Kongping's own. Although it was far more than half star level, it was blocked by the light and shadow monster. Come down. Boy, I really hope to see the day when you surpass your master. The last words of light, shadow, and light came to Jia Yan's ears. Farewell, senior light and shadow monster, Jia Yan said in a gloomy mood at the same time. The next moment, Jia Yan entered the twisted space. He felt himself spinning, not only due to the distortion of space, but also due to the inability to calm down. A being who has been with him for a long time, and it was the first such close companion so long after his rebirth, who also helped him a lot, is about to say goodbye forever. Jia Yan was actually very sad. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 781. Not long after, a twisted space suddenly appeared in the starry sky not far from the Whitebird War Hall headquarters. Jia Yan flew out of the space. The moment he flew out, a ray of light suddenly lit up in the twisted space behind him, directly interrupting his twisted space and even destroying his traces. This prevented anyone from detecting the traces of his movement. The space ahead is already more than 1,000 kilometers away from the planet of Shiratori Hall's headquarters. Jia Yan looked back. Then he was shocked. The battle between two analogous star-level beings was more terrifying than he imagined. The entire Whitebird Hall headquarters planet began to be filled with huge smoke and dust, and flames were everywhere. The headquarters was no longer as beautiful as before, but was filled with the aura of death. The two are almost equivalent to a star-level existential battle. For Jia Yan at this moment, it is still an unimaginable power. Jia Yan didn't look for long, because he understood that he was still within the range of the brainwave power of most powerful people. After just looking for a moment, he entered the subspace again. After he left the twisted space, a force immediately followed and smoothed the space. The light and shadow monster is like an excellent nanny, and all the little tails left by Jia Yan help eliminate it. Until more than 10,000 kilometers away, Jia Yan no longer felt the power from behind coming to help. He looked back at the Whitebird War Hall from a distance. The war seemed to be over. The entire planet was actually destroyed by less than half. It was a circle with one corner missing, almost like a doomsday scene. "Senior, let's go." And, "Shiratori Sentu, wait for me." Jia Yan's heart was full of anger. He took one last look at the planet behind him, and then resolutely stepped into the subspace. What he didn't know was that when he left the starry sky, in another star field in the far northern star field, an extremely being who was on his way seemed to be slightly shocked. "Then Jia Yan actually ran away from me? And the intelligence he carried contains such terrifying power. I miscalculated. This being has a colorful body, radiant and extremely gorgeous. She is none other than Kongping, a powerful star-level existence of the Whitebird Battle Hall. But forget it, I came here just to solve Jia Yan's problem. I just ran away. Does he dare to come back and cause trouble for me, Baniao Zhantang? After this battle, he should understand very well that anyone isn't it true that large forces have the means to summon a stellar-level being at any time." Kongping shook her head indifferently, as if she didn't care about Jia Yan, the talent that shocked the entire northern star territory. She was not afraid of trouble from the so-called giant Mosquito clan behind Jia Yan, because from the beginning, she did not feel that Jia Yan was a member of a special clan. This being continued to fly and never looked back to trouble Jia Yan. But Jia Yan didn't understand this, he was still running quickly. After coming out of the Whitebird Battle Hall headquarters planet, Jia Yan traveled through space again and again along the way. Without the smoothing of the distorted energy of the senior light and shadow monster, Jia Yan himself calmed the energy after exiting the space. Presumably after smoothing, the distorted space will become normal soon, and others will want to explore it. His whereabouts are even more difficult. In the vast universe, if he wanted to chase a creature that was several hundred meters away, unless Jia Yan was extremely unlucky, it would be impossible to detect him. The senior light and shadow monster no longer stayed in his body, and Jia Yan felt a little confused at this moment. Although the two parties didn't spend much time together, Jia Yan was used to the process of having the other party make suggestions for many things. Now that this presence was gone, Jia Yan was a little at a loss. "Alas, I didn't have the help of seniors before, so I really can't find that state anymore," Jia Yan sighed. "However, even if I am lost again, I must work hard, not only to survive myself, but also to show myself to the senior light and shadow monster. One day in the future, I will surpass his master, and even more than that." Jia Yan thought about this, and his eyes became even more angry. "And Shiratori Battle Hall, Kongping, I will make you pay the price. I will." De Wanzi flew quickly in the space. Although his speed was not fast, it was not too slow because he traveled through the space again and again, barely reaching half the speed of light. One-time travel is 1 or 2,000 kilometers, and then he takes another step and enters the subspace again, and then his figure appears 1 or 2,000 kilometers away. Then take another step. Just step after step, Jia Yan's speed formed a series of afterimages, constantly moving forward in the starry sky. Although his speed is not extremely fast, in terms of physical flight, it is already an extremely terrifying speed. After half a month, Jia Yan, who was somewhat depleted of energy, finally arrived at the outskirts of the Whitebird War Hall. There is an interception checkpoint here, but the checkpoint cannot stop a physically strong person, not to mention that Jia Yan broke through the checkpoint with just a shuttle. When he came to the outside world within the Whitebird War Hall's own sphere of influence, although there was a risk of being discovered, Jia Yan could be more courageous. He intercepted a one-man strong ship that didn't seem to be slow. The owner of this spaceship is a venerable level being, and his strength doesn't seem to be that of a weak one. However, in front of Jia Yan, he had no power to fight back at all. After a series of battles and being suppressed by the stellar-level brainwave power, Jia Yan's brainwave power has improved again. At this moment, he only released the brainwave power and suppressed the other party so that they did not dare to resist. After seeing Jia Yan's appearance, the other party didn't dare to say anything. Let Jia Yan learn the flight procedures of his warship, then fly to a deserted land, drop the venerable man, and fly away. Although this venerable person is powerful, he does not have Jia Yan's ability to fly and shuttle. In this desolate land, he can either fly for dozens or hundreds of years to a populated place, or he can be lucky enough to wait until some spaceship or warship passes by. Of course, this place was specially chosen by Jia Yan. Yes, the chance of encountering it is even smaller than winning the lottery. No matter what the fate of this strong man would be, Jia Yan couldn't care less at this time. He operated the battleship to fly quickly. This battleship does not have the space-jumping ability of the Pacific Kingdom battleship, but its focus is speed, so its normal speed is extremely fast. When it accelerates to the limit, it can exceed more than double the speed of light. The bow in front of the battleship continues to release. It creates fluctuations in the distorted space, and then flies at super light speed. Okay, this battleship is in line with my ideas. Then, let's think about the escape route. Jia Yan thought a lot in the battleship. When he was escaping in the Shiratori Battle Hall area, although he felt the panic in the entire area, he actually did not hear any news about his affairs. I used the internet function in this battleship, and I didn't find any posts from Bai Niao Zhantang telling Jia Yan about his destruction of Bai Niao Zhantang's headquarters. After Jia Yan thought about it, he felt that Jia Yan's destruction of the headquarters of the Whitebird War Hall was an embarrassing event for such a large force as the Whitebird War Hall, so the other party would rather call it an accident than an accident. I would like to say that it was Jia Yan who destroyed the headquarters planet. Then my appearance in the interstellar world will not necessarily attract the attention of others. As long as I am careful, others will not immediately think of reporting it to the Whitebird War Hall. After Jia Yan thought of this, he took a bold route. The picture was thought out by him. I am destined to leave the Northern Star territory in the future, but before that, I must go to the Kingdom of Taya. There are some technologies there that may be useful to me, and I must make arrangements for the clone, because I guarantee that the clone will still be effective if my main body leaves the Northern Star territory. After Jia Yan thought about something, he determined his escape route. That is to bypass several countries and small forces within the influence of the Whitebird War Hall. There are also several forces that have a good relationship with the Whitebird War Hall. As long as they avoid these forces, Jia Yan's whereabouts will be leaked, and may not be noticed by the existence of Shiratori Battle Hall. He was also prepared for a small-scale battle. After all, he had nothing to fear. In the entire Whitebird War Hall, there was only the terrifying star level that he couldn't fight against at the moment, but he didn't have to worry about other existences at all, because they may not be able to beat Jia Yan himself. But what Jia Yan didn't expect was as he walked, there was no sign of the Whitebird Warhol wanting to find him, and there was no sign of anyone investigating his actions. A few months have passed, and Jia Yan's silent movements have been exposed several times, but there has been no pursuit. Finally, one time, Jia Yan secretly captured a branch of the Whitebird Warhol and found out that the star-level Kongping didn't care about him as a runaway figure and just disappeared. The biggest worry is also solved. It turns out that Kongping is no longer at the Whitebird Battle Hall headquarters. Even if they know where I am, they don't dare to come and catch me. Because except for Kongping, no other strong person may be able to catch me, so for me, even their headquarters planet was destroyed, so they turned a blind eye or closed an eye. Although I don't know where Kongping went, I can seize this time difference and rush to Taia Kingdom. After Jia Yan killed the senior officials of the Whitebird War Hall, he no longer took detours, but took a straight line. Even if the possibility of exposure was greater, he didn't care. After more than a month of this tight sailing journey, Jia Yan finally arrived at his destination. The sphere of influence of the giant Mosquito fleet that has been away for a long time, Taia Kingdom. Looking at the star field in front of him, a familiar feeling came to his heart. Jia Yan almost felt that he had returned to his home in the northern star field. You must know that this kingdom of Taia was attacked by him and Kamiga with the soldiers brought from the deserted galaxy. It is normal for him to be familiar with it at this moment. It's a pity that I have to leave here soon. Jia Yan shook his head. Then he drove the warship and flew into Taia. Thanks to the book friend Tragic Aquarius for another reward of 1000 coins. There is also a reward of 500 coins from the book friend Wei Jin. I also ask everyone to subscribe. Thank you. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 782. In Asia, the overall recent situation is going in a good direction. Not only because the country was handed over to its original owner, but also because the country seemed to be relying on an extremely powerful backer. Everyone knows this backer, and that is Jia Yan, a genius from the giant Mosquito clan whose combat power can compete with half-star level warriors. Because of Jia Yan's relationship, the surrounding countries and forces have become friendly towards Taia Kingdom. Some countries were originally restricting Taia Kingdom's business and even wanted to send troops to attack Taia Kingdom, but now they dare not take action. Instead, he came to sign some cooperation agreements with the intention of making amends. But what no one expected was that Jia Yan, a powerful man who had only just become popular, would actually come to Taia on the run. Jia Yan drove the battleship to the border of Taia Kingdom, and a spaceship immediately came to investigate. "My lord, please show me your identity." A soldier's voice came inside Jia Yan's battleship. The soldiers stationed at the border are naturally not members of the giant Mosquito fleet. In fact, many soldiers in the giant Mosquito fleet have now retired. Those who can truly undertake the task of guarding the border are often former Pacific Asia soldiers with professional capabilities. Of course, most of the giant Mosquito fleet soldiers have nothing to be angry about, because they have realized their dreams, coming from a small deserted land to an advanced civilization in the Northern Star Territory, and they also have extremely generous retirement bonuses. Coupled with work assignments, most retired soldiers never want to return to the army. At this moment, Jia Yan felt a little emotional when he saw that the one he was interrogating was not the giant Mosquito fleet he was familiar with. But Jia Yan wouldn't say anything about this kind of thing. After all, he was just an unqualified commander for the giant Mosquito fleet. "Put me through karma, my identification code is set 34251," Jia Yan said casually. The battleship that Jia Yan was riding was a strong warship. These Tadia soldiers stationed at the border did not hesitate much. Maybe the other party was a strong man who had some old relationship with Tadia. Not long after, the identification code and words of Jia Yan, a powerful man, were handed over to these soldiers. What these soldiers don't know is that the meaning of this code name is something they can't even imagine. That is Jia Yan's personal identification code in the giant Mosquito fleet, and only some members of the giant Mosquito fleet can understand this code name. Karma is one of them. Huh? Said 34251? Get me here quickly and use the best secret line. Kama, who was on the capital planet of Pacific Asia, jumped up from her office almost immediately after receiving the strange code name, surprising her newly hired deputy. Kama has recently been contacted by many forces, large and small, and should have been indifferent to favors and humiliations. But now he heard a code name and acted so rudely. Could this be the man that Princess Kama likes? Although he wanted to see who was the contact, Kama ruthlessly drove the deputy away. And if the deputy saw the person connected to Karma, he might even kneel down in surprise. Because this is the giant Mosquito clan that has been worshipped almost as gods in the entire Tadia kingdom, Jia Yan. Boss, have you returned to Tadia? Why didn't you inform me beforehand? Kama shouted a little rudely when he saw the giant Mosquito figure opposite the communicator. As the actual leader of Tadia kingdom, Kama has hardly had many opportunities to lose her temper in the past year. She always shows her most perfect side to everyone, but now when she sees Jia Yan, her original out-of-the-box personality showed up again. Kama, you are already the head of a country, why are you still so out of touch, haha. Jia Yan originally wondered if Kama would change his personality after he gained power. After all, when he saw Kama on the internet, he seemed to be extremely sacred and in line with the appearance of a goddess with a temperamental leadership appearance. But, now that I saw her look, I immediately understood that the other person, at least in front of me, didn't have any airs. Why am I the head of a country? I have already said that Tadia kingdom will follow your lead. Kama refuted Jia Yan's words. Jia Yan saw her determination through her eyes. But at this moment, Jia Yan had no real intention to take control of the Tadia kingdom, so he shook his head. Kama, let me tell you, I might leave the Northern Star territory soon. Give me the opportunity to enter the Tadia kingdom. Permission, I hope not to make too much noise, it's best if no one else knows that I'm back except for your money. I will go directly to Huo Liaoxing and leave in a few days at most. Leaving in a few days? Leaving the Northern Star territory, Kama was shocked when he heard this information. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. She almost felt that the world was collapsing. In the past few years, she has been with Jia Yan, and the two sides have been cooperating with each other in battles. Some time ago, Kama found that she seemed to have some affection for this alien Mosquito, but now she heard that the other party was leaving the Northern Star domain. In such a vast universe, is it possible for the two parties to meet? Kama, don't worry. I went to the Fire Star this time just to see if I can solve the communication problem in the future. Time is running out, so give me permission to enter the Pacific Kingdom. Jia Yan wasted no time and asked Kama to give him the status of a foreign guest entering Tadia Kingdom. No one knew about all this. It was completely because Kama used his power to let Jia Yan, who was transformed into an envoy from a small country on the border of the Northern Star Field, come to Tadia Kingdom. Not long after, Jia Yan came to Huo Liao Star in Tadia Kingdom. This return, compared to the huge commotion he made on this planet in the past, was almost completely silent. No one from Tadia Kingdom or Huo Liao Star knew about his arrival. On the Huo Liao Star, several leaders who were responsible for several major scientific projects on the Huo Liao Star were personally assigned secret missions by Princess Kama. The scientists gathered together at a secret ground on top of the port of call. I wonder what this little comma is doing by bringing so many of our top scientists together. Doesn't she understand how precious our minute is? The old man with all white hair said impatiently. For this scientist, there seems to be no such thing as a powerful person. To him, the powerful people and the country seem to be just organizations that provide financial resources for research. Other scientists would not dare to look like him. You must know that this gray-haired scientist has helped His Excellency Jia Yan. He seems to be able to fight against Kamata to a certain extent, but other scientists are still to take Kama's energy into consideration. Even though they stopped what they were doing at this moment, they didn't dare to say anything. This group of scientists didn't have to wait long. A warship from outer space, which had not been inspected, flew to this hidden port. Huh? The design of this battleship is good. Is it a battleship from the Central District? A scientist who is very knowledgeable about battleship design looked at the battleship descending from the sky with some surprise. However, the expressions of more scientists changed slightly at this moment, because they all had some strength, and the person who could detect the battleship was a powerful man. However, this group of scientists did not show any fearful expressions, because there were several powerful people from the Taia kingdom on the Huo Liao star at the starry sky level alone. For them, it seemed that no more powerful people would come here. Huo Liao scene was destroyed, and the other party was arranged by Princess Kama, so the danger should not be great. But when this group of scientists saw the existence coming out of the battleship, their expressions were all greatly changed. It turns out that the strong man who stepped off the battleship was actually a terrifying strong man who brought changes to the entire Huo Liao star, no, it should be said to the entire Pacific Kingdom, and even to the northern star territory of Nyoda Jiayan. Long time no see, everyone. How are you? Jia Yan is familiar with these scientists. Got off the battleship, he greeted these beings. No more nonsense. I'm here to give you some urgent tasks and to ask you something. Let's go to your respective research institutes immediately to discuss it. Jia Yan didn't say much else, but gave direct instructions. Jia Yan stayed at Huo Liao scene for several days. 3 days later, his battleship took off again. But this time, Jia Yan's warships did not stay in Taia for much longer. Instead, he headed straight towards the way he came from, flying out of the land of Taia. I'm sorry, I won't be able to see you when I come back. Those scientists said they will work hard to study what I'm talking about. I think there may be opportunities to meet in the future. See you again if we are destined. Jia Yan didn't want to talk to Kama directly. He hated the feeling of separation. It would remind him of the Light and Shadow seniors who had just been apart for a short time. So he sent a message to Kama, and then unilaterally closed the communication channel, not wanting to give Kama a chance to speak. On the other side of the capital star of the Pacific Kingdom, Kama received Jia Yan's message signal and quickly reconnected, only to find that he could not hang up the other party's communication signal at all. This guy, does he want to disappear like this? Karma sat back on her throne with some distress. Her expression was distressed and depressed. No, as long as I build on the things he arranged on Huo Liao Xing and expand his ideas even more in the future, I should be able to keep in touch with him regularly, not to mention meeting each other in the future. You have seduced my heart. Don't even think about escaping so easily. Women of the Bella tribe will not shed tears until they see the coffin. After Karma thought about this, a touching smile appeared on his fragrant lips. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito author, Bulletin U. Chapter 783. Jia Yan on the other side had no idea that Miss Kama, the current head of the country of Taia in the rear, was so extreme with his thoughts. He didn't even know that this woman, who was not of the same race as him, would actually do this. He had a good impression of his mosquito body. If Jia Yan knew about it, he would probably be very surprised. That's all for the Satsumanich, but Kama also likes his mosquito body. This is cross-race. The former human Jia Yan couldn't find anyone who liked him. Why is this? Of course Jia Yan didn't know that his reborn mosquito body, not to mention his appearance, at least his character is still very attractive to a woman, especially the kind of concentration that pursues strength and the occasional expression of it. His gentleness is one of the reasons why he can impress women. Of course, the biggest reason is Jia Yan's current strength and status. Originally, the problems between advanced alien creatures and races were not too big. Even the Satsuma niches on the Earth can change races. For Taya, which has mastered the technology of clones, it is not a problem for Kama to do this. Impossible. That's why she had an unusual affection for Jia Yan. But after all, Jia Yan has no idea at all now. For him, as a mosquito, he will not consider the relationship between men and women. Kama's thoughts are destined to be only one-sided emotions. Alas, that's all for me in the central area of the Northern Star Territory. Goodbye to the giant mosquito fleet again. Jia Yan looked at the star territory of Taya Kingdom receding behind the battleship, feeling a little emotional. He couldn't even remember how many times he had experienced similar things. Every time I always leave some of the interpersonal relationships and influence I have established, and then go to the next place. The same thing happened this time. The place where the senior light and shadow monster wanted him to go seemed to be another place, but it seemed to be more suitable for his current development. But this time is different. I have arranged some means in the kingdom of Taya in the Northern Star region. If the scientists on the Fire Star can implement the means I arranged, the situation in the future will be different. Jia Yan thought about the methods he had arranged, and nodded secretly with satisfaction. To put it bluntly, these methods are not clever methods. It is nothing more than strengthening the connection with his clone, etc. Jia Yan already knows that as long as he brings a device brought from the Huo Liao star, the connection with the clone will not be cut off even when he reaches the edge of the galaxy. On the Taya Kingdom side, through continuous improvement, they will see if they can further contact the clone in the future, which would be equivalent to contacting his real body. No matter where he is in the galaxy, he can keep in touch with the Pacific Kingdom through the connection between his clones. Of course, there are many difficulties that need to be overcome, and Jia Yan cannot help. After leaving behind the affairs of Taya Kingdom, Jia Yan drove the battleship and flew quickly. Compared with the speed when he first came to Taya Kingdom, his single battleship flight this time did not have the advantage of group flight, so his speed was a bit slower. However, after more than a month, Jia Yan still broke through the barriers of various forces, and even affected several places in the Northern Star War Zone. After even destroying a chasing fleet, he came to the north in disgrace. Starfield Boundary. The borderland between the Northern Star Territory and the Chaos Star Territory. In this border area, Jia Yan saw the fleet of the Hungta Alliance and the Houda Alliance fighting with it. However, Jia Yan did not alarm these two wartime forces this time. Although when he came, he felt that these two alliances were extremely powerful, but now Jia Yan can easily destroy both of them. It can be seen that his current strength is much stronger than when he came to the Northern Star Territory. Neither side even noticed Jia Yan's arrival and departure, and just continued their confrontation. Not long after, Jia Yan entered the chaotic star field that once blocked the way of the giant Mosquito fleet. In this star field, ordinary fleets will become disoriented when entering, and there are many dangers. In this chaotic star field, passing ships are constantly swallowed up. But at this moment, for Jia Yan, this chaotic star field is not much different from the ordinary star field. Jia Yan was not afraid of the dangers here when he came, and now that he has advanced many levels, he is even less afraid. The battleship moves slowly. The battleship cannot move too fast in the chaotic star field. Otherwise, if it hits the planet like before, even with Jia Yan's current strength, it will be extremely dangerous. So Jia Yan drove the battleship forward slowly, and finally, after about a month, he came to a seemingly deserted place where starry sky materials were piled up. There is countless interstellar matter floating around here. In fact, it has traveled millions of kilometers from where Jia Yan found it. If it hadn't been for a signal transmitter that surpassed the technology of the Northern Star Territory, Jia Yan might not have been able to find it here. After arriving here, Jia Yan flew out of the battleship behind. His figure slowly flew across a large area of interstellar matter. Then he came to a large black shadow. This is an extremely huge ship. Because of its huge size, it is no longer easy to distinguish whether it is a battleship or a spaceship, because regardless of whether it is a battleship or a spaceship, as long as it can be activated, even if it does not have a weapon system, even if it is hit with the body, it can crash into countless pieces. Enemy. When Jia Yan saw its shadow, he felt a little gloomy, because this huge black shadow reminded him of his predecessors who had not been separated for a long time. Jia Yan flew into the black shadow below. This black shadow is the backpack of the original owner of the light and shadow monster, also known as the Edisha. Although it is just a backpack for a strong man, to Jia Yan, it is comparable to an invincible battleship. After all, he was an extremely powerful being at the star level, and the backpack he used was definitely unimaginable to Jia Yan. Come to the Edissa. Jia Yan saw the dim ship around him. Without the operation of the light and shadow monster, the lights would not turn on automatically. However, in response to the arrival of his master, the reactor was automatically started. After that, Jia Yan went to turn on the lights. The entire ship was finally lit up. Alas, Senior. Jia Yan looked at the place where the image of the light and shadow monster was left, feeling melancholy at this moment. But before Jia Yan could be melancholy for long, a childish voice suddenly rang out from the Aditha number. Master, Master, are you the master? My name is, Edisha, Master, my name is Edisha. Jia Yan was startled, but before he could look to his left and right, he saw a small light and shadow slowly condensing in front of him. There was a faint flash of understanding in his eyes, and he remembered that the senior light and shadow monster seemed to have said before his death that when he came to the Edisha, another light and shadow would appear on the Edisha. It seemed that he was so far away. The Edissa will also know that light, shadow, and light objects are dead. Can it be a replacement for the light and shadow monster? Jia Yan felt a little unhappy about this. However, the light and shadow that appeared did not seem to be like the light and shadow monster that Jia Yan had imagined. Instead, they were constantly condensing in front of Jia Yan, and it seemed that they could not be successfully condensed for a long time. In the end, while Jia Yandu was secretly worrying about him, this little thing finally took shape. It turned out to be a faint light and shadow of a small mosquito. It looks almost the same as Jia Yan, just many times smaller. Master, is it okay to have an image like Eddie's? The little mosquito asked Jia Yan with a strange smile. Whatever. Is your name Adisha? Do you still have the memory of Senior Light and Shadow Monster? Jia Yan asked tentatively. Light and Shadow Monster? Oh, you're talking about number 1. I remember a little bit, but not much. I'm not him. What do you remember him doing? The little mosquito became a little strangely confused. Okay. Can you help me operate the Edissa? What else can you do for me besides this? Jia Yan asked the little mosquito angrily. I can help Master in many ways. I can do everything that number 1 can do. I can also operate the Edissa well, but I am still young. Master needs to teach me more. For example, the Edissa should be operated. How fast is the best? Find out at Chiyuan how much air should be added to the Edissa. Also, the little mosquito kept saying things he didn't understand. Every time he said something, Jia Yan's head got a little bigger. This little guy seemed to know little more than him. Fortunately, as the operational brain of the battleship, Edisha has some instincts. Jia Yan ordered him to operate the battleship outside the interstellar material. It also operated obediently and did not look like a novice. In its own words, that shows that he is a genius. Of course, Jia Yan didn't believe that he was a genius or anything, he just believed that this was the instinct of a smart brain. However, this Edisha is indeed different in character and temper from the previous light and shadow monsters. It is impossible for Jia Yan to regard her as the successor of the light and shadow monsters. Okay, little Edisha, number 1 said that you have a place where you can take me there. He also said that the Edisha has been almost repaired, right? Take me there. After Jia Yan asked the little Edisha to perform some movement drills, he spoke. Okay, I know it's there. It's in the data. It's a very, very good place. It's so much better than this northern star field. The little mosquito drew a big circle in the sky, but probably no one knew how much better the circle represented except himself. But we have to fly out of this star field first. This star field has a huge distorted space. It will be very dangerous for the Aditha to jump. Small mosquitoes flew around in the sky, and the words buzzed. Said buzzingly. The Edisha slowly turned around in space. Its body, which was as large as 10 kilometers, was not slow. It turned around very quickly and seemed to fly away in the direction when Jia Yan broke through the chaotic star field. I don't know how long the flight lasted like this.